Is this thing on? Is it on? Good. All right. 15 minutes I have. Okay. Where we left off today was talking about the process of transcription. If you remember the whole thing, we're talking protein synthesis and the idea that protein synthesis is 2 stages. So first one, transcription. I go back and fill that in. Second part, translation. I've defined transcription already. So you go from DNA language to mRNA language. This process occurs in the nucleus. It's working. Nucleus has to have a nucleus because DNA going to mRNA language, DNA is not allowed to leave the nucleus. The next part of this process is translation. That's what we're going to do today in 15 minutes. This occurs at the ribosome. So if I just give a simple diagram of a cell, if this is your cell and there's your nucleus, the DNA that was in the nucleus, here it is, nucleus, there's your double-stranded DNA. The mRNA sequence, which I'll change to green, is made from your DNA. That message then has to leave the nucleus and go to, if that's my ER and you have the ribosomes attached, that's where that message has to go to. This is the location of translation. This is transcription. To go back to define translation, translation is going from the mRNA sequence into the amino acid sequence. You have a lot of diagrams, and unfortunately the diagrams on the video are not going to come across very clear. I know that to start. But in your notes you have this, so you can follow it a lot clearer on your notes. You'll see where I'm filling in things. Things that you need to know. Here is your mRNA sequence, and notice they have already grouped them into 3 nucleotides at a time. Remember the vocab term, codon. So these are the 3 nucleotides, there's your codon. 3 sequences on an mRNA sequence. So this one we can see has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 codons we're going to look at and convert this sequence into an amino acid. Identifying. First, here's the message. It's the messenger RNA. The next RNA that we need in the sequence comes from the tRNA. So on this diagram, these are things that we need to know. This gray structure in the background is the ribosome, location where the protein is going to be assembled, like the factory. This structure up here is a simplified molecule of a tRNA molecule. And there are 3 important nucleotides. A tRNA molecule is made up of about 80 nucleotides from start to finish. They're not drawing the details of those. There's only 3 that actually count in the series of 80. They are 3 at the bottom. They are called the anticodon. Given the name anticodon because it's like the opposite sequence of the codon. So if you can imagine, here's your AUG codon. What could you think would be the opposite or complement, which is your anticodon? AUG goes to, that's a question. You should be answering it. Good. UAC. If you said T, you again forgot the rule. There is no T in RNA. The anticodon is a part of the tRNA molecule. Therefore, there are no T's whatsoever. Every time you want to say T, you better put a U instead. So you can fill that out. Just so you remember, the anticodon of AUG would be UAC. You can write that directly there. Obviously, I know you can't see it, but you can fill it in. I told you the role of the tRNA molecule is to bring the amino acids to the factory or to bring it to the ribosome. How do I know what amino acid has to come to the ribosome? It is based on this code. The AUG is a codon. What we're going to now do is use a little, it's like a secret code. If you ever want to be a part of a secret gang, use a code. This is the code of protein synthesis. You have this in your chart or in your packet. I do not know offhand what exact page it's on. I want to say in the 6 or 7 range. Find it. Press pause if you can. That's the luxury right now. Press pause. Locate this wheel. You found it? Excellent. Here's what you now do. To determine which amino acid is going to come in first, we look at the first codon, AUG. Here's how you read this codon. This is a codon chart. This is not an anticodon chart. If this was an anticodon chart, you would read the anticodon sequence. This is a codon chart, so you use the codon. If we're looking for AUG, picture this like a little pizza pie. You start in the middle. My first letter was A, so I go to the first series of letters, the biggest ones, the biggest font, and I find A. I've limited now my amino acids to the bottom left quadrant. I work my way out towards the crust. So A is here, I follow it to the U. Now I've pinned it down to either one of these two. And finally, my third letter in my codon was G. So I go A, U, G, and I find that methionine is the amino acid that would be called to the ribosome at that moment. So this is the one that needs to go back onto our chart. The top of this molecule is where the amino acid, that's going to be the labeled part. That's the amino acid. Obviously, there's not enough room to write methionine. We never really write the whole amino acid. We will write just the 3 letters that start the amino acid because they are all unique in the first 3 letters. So what you can do on the first amino acid, put MET. That signifies that methionine was called into the ribosome. Now we look at the next one. GUU is the codon. The anticodon that would be part of the tRNA molecule that binds to it would have to be, Alex, what is it?
Can't see the thing.
C-A-A. Good, Alex.
Your hand was in the way.
Oh. GUU goes to CAA. Determining what amino acid goes to the top here is going to be dictated because of the GUU. It's the codon we look to match up with the amino acid. So we go back to our codon chart and we're looking for GUU. So do that now. Work inside out. GUU. Valine. So my first 3 letters are VAL. So I'm going to go back here and plug in VAL. We're going to go to step 2. Notice when 2 amino acids have come to the protein factory, they now are going to bind. This amino acid was here first. It has now come in, the valine comes in. They are going to chemically bond at the ribosome. Do you recall the name of that bond that joins 2 amino acids? Are you Googling it? You should Google it right now if you don't know it. Did you Google? Peptide. So the ribosome is going to form a peptide bond between these 2 amino acids. This is a sequence of events. So this is still methionine. This is still valine. So this is going to continue for the remainder of the messenger RNA. So we go down here. Now the third one is going to come in. By this point, you can see GGC. I can ask you what the anticodon would be. Hopefully you say CCG. But we're looking for the codon on our codon chart. So GGC, I don't have this memorized. I don't expect you to have to memorize it. GGC is glycine. So the third one in, still, this is methionine, that's valine, so this now is glycine. Notice what happens. Only 2 amino acids occupy the ribosome at any given moment. This arrow signifies that the ribosome is going to slide down this code and start bringing in the correct amino acids. Once the first one has left the ribosome, the actual tRNA molecule is not needed. So right now I'm going to use a little special guest to act this out. My first thing that I need is, if methionine, picture this like a person. the amino acid is like your big noggin. The tRNA portion is actually like your body. So if I said the first code was AUG, and on a AUG I need a methionine. So I'm going to bring a person from the audience in to act like methionine. Here we go. So here comes my methionine. I need a methionine. Methionine, please come. Here he is. Here's my methionine right here. Do you see this big amino acid right here? That's what we really need. We don't need the body. That's the tRNA. This is the mode of getting, it's like the taxi. The taxi brings it to bring the amino acid. So we've got him. Now we slide down and I look at the amino acid, or I look at the RNA sequence, and then I needed valine. So I need a valine, please. I need a valine. So valine will come to the ribosome. Come. So what happens is, the first one slides down, here comes the second amino acid. At this point, the first amino acid head can now bind through a peptide bond to my second amino acid. Then we slide down, and we need the third, glycine. I'm glad I have 3. Here we have, glycine comes in. I now have amino acid 1, 2, and 3. These two are occupying the amino acids, so we do not need the body of Pat any longer. So what I do is I chop off from his neck down and picture Pat's head just floating here. If I had a green screen, I could make that happen. Pat's head, Alex's head, and Emily's head. Emily's not a student of mine, she just wants to see this video. So therefore, Pat's head is no longer attached to his body. What will happen is, so picture Pat's head here, his body's gone. There you go. So now what will happen is we're going to slide down even more. I don't have a fourth person. If I was the fourth amino acid, now I would peptide bond with Emily's amino acid, and then Alex's head would be chopped off, and this will continue until we get to the end of the actual sequence. So thank you very much. You were very good assistants there. I wish I had one more assistant. Oh, there is someone. Who is that? I think that's Marvin. Show him the carrot. There's actually a carrot on it. There we go. That's Marvin flying on a bird of some type. So you can fill in methionine, valine, and glycine. This is Pat's head. His body has been discharged. Now that's Alex. There's his body. Here comes Emily. And it slides down. So here comes Emily. There is Alex. And there's Pat's head. His body's going back to get a new amino acid. It's got to be the same amino acid. Imagine Pat's body with some random student's head on it. It's not going to work. It's going to look pretty awkward. So this tRNA is built only for one amino acid. Picture it like your body is built for one particular head. We move down, and this process will continue over and over again. So what you can do on your notes is fill in what would be the sequence of these amino acids. AUG, GUU, GGC were already done. Continue with the next grouping until you get to AAA. Alright? So I'm going to stop right there because I think I'm right at my 15 minutes. I'll see you tomorrow.